The Galactic Council's newest addition sat hunched in the corner of the diplomatic lounge, her small frame dwarfed by the towering representatives from across known space. Ambassador Sarah Chen measured barely 5.5 feet tall, her slight build making her appear fragile next to the 8-foot Krathari warriors and the crystalline Zephyrians who sparkled like living gemstones. "Look at the human," whispered Vextos, the Krathari military advisor, his mandibles clicking in amusement. "Their species conquered their own planet, yet they send us this child?" The other delegates shared quiet laughs. In the 3 months since humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel and petitioned for council membership, they had become the subject of constant ridicule. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a rare designation reserved for planets so hostile that most civilized species wouldn't survive a day on the surface. Yet humans seemed so ordinary. Sarah ignored the whispers, focusing instead on her data pad as she reviewed the morning's agenda. The council was debating trade routes through the outer spiral, where pirate raids had been increasing. As the newest member, Earth had little political weight, but Sarah was determined to prove humanity's worth. The meeting proceeded predictably. The Vorthon hegemony proposed increased military patrols, while the peaceful Melodians suggested diplomatic outreach. Sarah raised her hand several times, but Council Leader Zarthex repeatedly overlooked her, his 6 eyes dismissing her presence entirely. It was during the lunch recess that everything changed. Sarah was walking through the station's central garden, a vast biodome filled with flora from dozens of worlds, when the screaming started. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in pulsing red as blast doors began sealing throughout the complex. "Breach in Cargo Bay 7, announced the station's AI. "Hostile life form detected. All personnel evacuate immediately." Through the transparent aluminum walls, Sarah could see delegates fleeing in panic. Then she saw why. A Xanthari apex predator stalked through the corridors, 12 feet of chitinous nightmare with razor-sharp claws and acid-dripping mandibles. Native to the galaxy's most dangerous hunting reserves, apex predators were used by the criminal underworld as living weapons. This one had somehow been smuggled aboard. The creature moved with terrifying intelligence, herding the fleeing delegates like prey. Its multiple eyes scanned for the weakest targets, settling on a group of young Melodian interns who had become trapped when a blast door malfunctioned. Sarah watched in horror as the predator approached the cowering aliens, its claws extending for the kill. The station's security forces were still minutes away, and the creature would tear through the Melodians long before help arrived. Without conscious thought, Sarah sprinted toward the emergency tool locker, smashing the glass and grabbing a plasma cutter, a device meant for maintenance work, not combat. The other delegates would have called her insane. A human, barely over 100 pounds, facing a creature that had evolved to kill everything in its path. But Sarah Chen hadn't grown up on a peaceful garden world. She was a child of Earth, a planet where storms could level cities, where microscopic organisms could kill in hours, where the very air had once been poison. She had evolved from ancestors who hunted mammoth-sized predators with nothing but sharpened sticks and coordinated teamwork. "Hey!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Over here, you oversized roach." The apex predator's head snapped toward her, compound eyes glittering with predatory interest. Here was new prey, small, slow, apparently defenseless. It abandoned the Melodians and stalked toward Sarah, certain of an easy kill. Sarah held perfectly still as the creature approached, every muscle coiled with potential energy. The predator saw what it expected to see, a terrified, helpless victim. It didn't recognize the hunting stance, the calculated positioning, the cold focus in her eyes. When the creature lunged, Sarah moved. She dove to the side with inhuman speed, her modified reflexes, the result of growing up in Earth's crushing gravity, allowing her to avoid the deadly claws by millimeters. As she rolled, she activated the plasma cutter, its superheated beam slicing through the air. The apex predator spun with fluid grace, but Sarah was already moving again. Earth's gravity was nearly 3 times galactic standard, and her bones were dense as steel, her muscles like compressed springs. What the other species saw as weakness was actually the result of living on a world that tried to kill everything that breathed. The creature struck again, and this time Sarah didn't dodge. She stepped inside its reach, her left hand seizing one of its secondary limbs while the plasma cutter in her right carved a burning line across its thorax. The predator's shriek of rage echoed through the chamber, as acidic blood sprayed across the floor. But Sarah wasn't finished. With a strength that defied her small frame, she grabbed the creature's damaged limb with both hands and pulled. The sound was like tearing metal. The apex predator's secondary arm separated from its body in a spray of ichor and tissue, the creature's own momentum working against it. Sarah rolled backward, came to her feet, and faced the wounded predator with its own severed limb in her hands. The creature's compound eyes focused on her with what might have been recognition or respect. For the first time in its existence, it faced prey that fought back with calculated violence, but it was too late for caution. Sarah charged, using the chitinous limb as a spear. The sharpened tip punched through the creature's primary thorax, piercing its central nervous cluster. The apex predator collapsed, its death throes shaking the deck plates. Silence fell over the garden chamber. Through the transparent walls, Sarah could see dozens of faces pressed against the glass. Delegates who had moments before dismissed her as weak and irrelevant. Ambassador Vexto stared at the scene, his mandibles slack with shock. "Impossible," he whispered. "No single being can kill an apex predator in hand-to-hand combat. Our greatest warriors would not attempt such a thing." Council leader Zarthex materialized beside him, all 6 eyes fixed on the small human standing among the carnage. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have misunderstood what it means to be a Deathworlder." Sarah wiped the alien blood from her face and straightened her diplomatic uniform. She had a trade proposal to present, and now she was certain the council would listen. After all, they had just learned why humanity had survived on the galaxy's most dangerous planet, not despite their apparent weakness, but because of what lay beneath it. Earth hadn't made them soft. It had forged them into something far more dangerous than any single predator. It had made them human.